Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Today, I will be going into detail about an emerging trend in shipping and port management. The topic will be the use, adaptation, and research into different fuels and technologies that could become more prevalent in the future. First, I will go into some detail about specifically 3 alternative fuel sources, specifically hydrogen, ammonia, and carbon capture. Secondly, I will talk about green ports and the infrastructure development needed to support such alternative fuels. And lastly, finish up by talking about balancing environmental impact while also maintaining operational efficiency and competitiveness. Okay, so first up, hydrogen. The first thing to understand about hydrogen is that there are many ways to produce energy from hydrogen. Depending on the production method, hydrogen can be gray, blue, or green, and sometimes even pink, yellow, or turquoise. Although naming conventions may vary across countries and over time. The only one of these that is carbon neutral is the green variant. Hydrogen use today is dominant by such industries as oil refining, ammonia production, methanol production, and steel production. One of the main reasons why hydrogen could be such a great emerging energy is its versatility. Technologies already available today enable hydrogen to produce, store, move, and use energy in different ways. A wide variety of fuels are able to produce hydrogen, including renewables, nuclear, natural gas, coal, and oil. It can be transported as a gas by pipelines or in liquid form by ships, much like liquefied natural gas. It can be transformed into electricity and methane to power homes and feed industries, and into fuel for cars, trucks, ships, and planes. But it does face hurdles. A couple of them are infrastructure and investment. I do believe that given enough time, investments will be made into this fuel source that will take us into the future. But in any endeavor, there must also be first movers. That could potentially happen with this fuel source soon. The infrastructure hurdle is just a different deviation of the investment problem, and rightfully so. Investors and governments want to be as confident as they can be before investing into something as long-term as infrastructure. Look to the example of the electric poles, which was, at the time, undoubtedly the right decision, but now, with weather events destroying them, I would venture to guess they wish they could have just put fiber optics into the ground from the start. Next up, ammonia. Ammonia has already shown itself to be a useful fuel source. Around a century ago, the world was facing a food crisis. The number of fertilizers that farmers could use was dwindling. And in what may still be the biggest global problem solved by chemistry, Fitz-Haber and Carol Bosch developed a process to react hydrogen and atmospheric nitrogen under pressure to make ammonia, which farmers adopted in place of natural fertilizers. The Haber-Bosch process is still responsible for nearly all the world's ammonia, as well as derivatives like urea and ammonium nitrate. Like hydrogen, there are different colors for different forms the substance is made into: gray, blue, green, and turquoise, respectively. The ability to utilize green ammonia has the benefit of having infrastructure already in place due to the use for farming, but the downside is it currently costs 2 to 4 times as much to make it as conventional ammonia. Next up is carbon capture. This is a fairly new technology. The simple idea behind this is to capture carbon molecules before they enter Earth's atmosphere. The captured CO2 gas is then compressed so it becomes liquid-like and transported to a storage site, generally through a pipeline. This one could have serious ramifications in the sense that right now, excess carbon seems to be the problem. But if this technology was to become global, we would have the reverse problem. We would have to work together as a planet not to take too much carbon out of the atmosphere for use of cheap energy. This may sound far-fetched until you think about the first television was made in 1925. The internet was invented in 1969. The first cell phone was invented in 1973. My point of listing these technologies is moving faster and faster, and all these major inventions were within the last 100 years. The next technological breakthrough could be closer than we think. One of the biggest hurdles of any alternative fuel source will face gaining traction is infrastructure being in place to maximize the effectiveness of the fuel source. One area that is helping to close this gap is green ports. Green ports are focused on reducing air and water pollution, optimizing energy consumption by embracing digitalization, using renewable energy sources, promoting sustainable transportation, and managing waste effectively. There are many ports that are not fully green but have implemented green agendas to include the Port of Los Angeles. With the proper timing, there could be ports made specifically for being able to utilize a new and emerging fuel source. Lastly, I'll be talking about the balance of environmental impact while also maintaining operational efficiency and competitiveness. In this transitional period where new fuel sources are becoming available, companies must try and strike the right balance of investing into the future sources while also maintaining operational efficiency and competitiveness. Some sources think this balance will be easier to strike than others. According to an article on ScienceDirect.com, green innovation is an inevitable response to stringent environmental regulations as well as sustainability trends in production and consumption. Therefore, how to transform green ideas into concrete practices while enhancing competitive advantage is an urgent problem for enterprises. They continue that green innovation was positively related to enterprises' competitive advantage, and this process was mediated by organizational learning. Furthermore, stakeholder and policy pressures both positively moderated and mediated effective organizational learning. It is thus recommended that competitive advantage should be established based on the synergy between macro-level green innovation strategies and micro-level organizational learning activities. In addition to acting upon stakeholder calls for environmentally friendly production, enterprises should also positively accept policy pressures and aim to meet or exceed environmental regulations. Others might tend to agree that the adoption of new fuels should come online slower, or advocate for a different fuel source than the ones that are stated in this report, such as nuclear, fission, fusion, wind, or solar. One thing is almost certain, that the demand for an alternative fuel source is felt from many different sides and angles. So to me, it seems inevitable that someone will fulfill that blue ocean of possibility to be the first one or ones to be able to deliver a reliable, clean energy to the world. Thank you for your time.